And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. We're going to talk about hypergamy today and how it relates to semen retention. This is one of the dangers of semen retention, because some people say that there are no dangers to semen retention. Well, I'll tell you who it's dangerous for. But first, let's explain hypergamy. It's a concept that has been developed over time from the manosphere, and it basically, like, this is my definition of it. You'll probably find another definition somewhere else, but I'll try to define it for you. I quote myself now, okay? A woman will always want to date up, which means that she'll always want to date someone who is higher value than herself. And she will, when given the opportunity to, always trade up from the one she's dating now to someone who has given her the opportunity to date her. As long as he's higher value than the one she has, she'll always go for that. Just that's hypergamy in simple terms, which basically means a woman will always want to have a guy who is higher value than her. I'm repeating myself. And she will always trade up if given opportunity to have someone who is even higher value than him. So, what does that mean? It means that a woman will fall in love with the guy if this guy is perceived to her, if she perceives that this guy is the highest value guy that she possibly could have right now, who has given her an opportunity to be with him. So that is basically the explanation of hypergamy. And that's a problem that we see in society today. And also one of the reasons for so many divorces, no-fault divorce. Women in history did not really get that much divorce. That was according to the numbers, it was an exception to the rule. Most people stayed in their marriage, whether it was a happy marriage or a non-happy marriage. Today, we've come to a point where families are disintegrating, and most of the time, it is simply because of this principle, hypergamy. Now, women at the same time, it's important to understand, and that's also part of the definition, I forgot, that women will only trade up if their security and safety is assured, which means that their financial foundation and their kids will be taken care of. That's like an ultimatum for women. They have to have that security and safety, and they're not going to trade up. They might want to, and they might think about it, and they might, really want the sexual, aspects of that relationship. But if it's risky and seriously risking the relationship that she's in, where she has stability, safety, the money, everything that she wants in terms of that, then she might not risk it by having an extramarital affair. But if the guy who is trying to get her, who's outside of that marriage, and he's really good at what he's doing, he's always going to get it. And that's because, that's just how the world works. And women are very good at keeping secrets. So that's hypergamy simply explained. What does that have to do with semen retention? Well, you got to understand that most guys ejaculate. Most guys are not like you. You see, the people who are watching my channel, you guys are nice guys. You're people, you're men who want to improve in life in general. You're men that want to have stability, that want success, that thinks differently than all other men. You're entrepreneurs, or thinking about becoming entrepreneurs. You're a completely different type of ball game than what most women experience on a daily basis. And the danger comes when you, as the one who goes against the stream and practice semen retention, what happens if you have sex with multiple girls? You gain experience, you gain ejaculation control, and now you end up having control in the bedroom. It's important to understand that he who has the control is the one who manages to be emotionally uninvolved. Right? If you think about a woman, if you are the one who can't control yourself when you're in her presence, that means that she is in full control in that relationship. This is a problem when they're really feminine, really nice, really beautiful, got the body to go with it. It's really hard for a guy to resist that. And that is the guy who is giving away all of his power because he cannot control himself. When you manage to control yourself, and you can even control yourself while in the act of sex, and control when or if you ejaculate, and when and if she orgasms, then you are at an advantage over 99.999% of the guys out there. And you are definitely in advantage of the guys that she has met. Because most guys that girls meet these days suck. And like the moment they're with you, they'll forget about all those guys. At least for a time. Until she finds out that you're not as perfect as she thought. So, what happens when you've got that control? Well, she becomes massively emotionally involved with you. And now you are basically the person she wants. It's more important than her work. It's more important than her studies. It's more important than her friends. And you're the one she's thinking about all the time. Until a better guy comes along. But guess what? That guy doesn't come along very often. Because you created an atmosphere where she could be herself, where she could let go, where she could experience the fullness of being feminine and of losing control. Women usually only feel that when they're drunk. And if you manage to give her those feelings when she's not drunk, you're an exception to the rule. A massive exception to the rule. So what is the danger here? The danger here is that she, with hypergamy, will look at you as the option she wants to have in her life. And she will initiate and try to come after you because you give her those emotions. And you have done this to maybe several girls. And that means that several girls are initiating and trying to get hold of you and trying to make you theirs. But obviously you can't do that for all of them. And also you only want the ones you want. Does that make sense? So what happens then? Well, eventually they'll stop trying to get you. But only because you've several times have sexually rejected them because you're too busy, or you stopped answering their phone calls, you stopped answering their texts, or you just not interested and you've actually told them that, I understand that you really want this, but I'm not able to give you myself right now. And you break up with them, even though you maybe weren't even together at all. But you have to break up with them because they, they're pushing it and they really want you in their life. What's going on here is that you are sexually rejecting a girl who has fallen in love with you. What happens at that moment in time is that she will continually, until she finds a guy who's better than you, think about you. Now, out of sight, out of mind, yes, right? If you're gone and not in her life for many, 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 many years, you would think that she will disconnect. There are reset buttons. And there are guys out there who will prove to be better than you, hopefully, for that woman. But what if she never finds that guy? What if you were the last guy and the one guy that she wanted? Women are monogamous. It's important to remember that. They fall in love with you and you reject them, you break up with them, and you don't want to be with them, they will remember you forever. And the moment you initiate, as long as you haven't gone overboard with your sexual rejection thing, she'll, most of the time, drop everything and come back to you. Unless that jeopardizes her security and the foundation that she set up for her life, and she'll get really pissed at you for actually coming into her life and trying to disturb something that she's tried to build up after years and years of not contacting her. So what are the dangers of semen retention? The dangers are that you get massive control over women. Now, if that was a good thing, I would tell you, it's not a good thing. The reason it's a good thing if it's in a committed, loving relationship where you want to be with that woman forever and ever and ever, and you want to have kids with her. Like, in that circumstance, it's fantastic for society at large because you're creating a family, which is the cornerstone of society, to produce children who are happy and who are, who get educated, who you can teach and train and create that magnificent lifestyle and rewarding life. You as a man won't think more about it, but you're basically sniping women and leaving them in the ditch while continuing on your journey. So, I know this is kind of this is really serious stuff. Like, yes, I'm smiling, but the reason why is because it's important. Like, I spent a lot of time trying to put this together in terms of a video. How can I explain this in 15 minutes? Like, up until recently, I was thinking, maybe it's okay for people to have sex with each other all the time and all that stuff. Yes, because most of the time, guys do not measure up with her experience. But I'm teaching you guys here the powers of semen retention and ejaculation control. Use that power wisely. If you practice semen retention, that means that you can actually choose to not have sex with women because your levels are, there's an equilibrium in your life. But if you don't overcome the semen, the sperm production addiction, and the addiction to the dopamine that comes from sex, then it will create problems for a lot of women to come if you just keep increasing their notch counts, you keep sexually rejecting them, and you leave them by the wayside. Just an interesting concept. Please comment down below if you think this is retarded, if you think that this is horrible, and what kind of content is this, or if you actually can feel that this is familiar and something that you've seen in your life, then please comment down below. And I'll share more concepts about this over time. Subscribe, and I'll see you again tomorrow.